I'm focused on his spirit cause it keeps me from his pride. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie.
Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about this pipe bomber, and I'm laughing because I'm still laughing at Jake Tapper and his accusations that this man was white. And I wonder how he got that info or why they gave him that info, but it's a black man and 30 years old. And we're still finding out a lot about him. We're still finding out things about him. I won't say a lot right now. But there are people claiming that he is MAGA and that he believed that the election was stolen and that he was a Trump supporter. But he also sued Trump. I mean, that's something that's like, I don't know, data that we have. It is possible that someone could not support Trump and think that the election was stolen, because I did know like Democrats who did actually think it was stolen because they just couldn't fathom Joe Biden getting more votes than Obama. That sounded fishy to them, but they still hated Trump's guts. So I had conversations like that. They could be saying is a Trump supporter because they figured that Trump would be more lenient to them. Because from my understanding, or at least what's floating around, they're going to try to get him in on the pardon that Trump issued and tried to say that he is technically a part of that and is off the hook for what he tried to do, even though it was on like the day before, not actually January 6th. There also appeared, I mean, he was buying up stuff for a while. So, like different parts and stuff that he would purchase over time to make his bomb. So, if they try to argue that, I mean, that's pretty sick and pretty gross. But there, it is possible that someone could claim again that they're Trump supporter just to kind of get more sympathy and then I guess inflame the media and political sphere and whatever. But we do know that they tried to sue the Trump administration. So we'll be talking about that and continuing talking about the fraud and other things going on. There's this one video that I want to show you guys that's just really gross and disgusting. This trans man, I'm sorry, it's a trans woman, but it's a trans identifying male who's mocking a young woman who was 17 playing volleyball, and she against a trans woman, a trans identifying male, and she was struck so hard with the ball that she's like it paralyzed like part of her body and stuff. And so he made some jokes about it. It was definitely not funny. And I just think it's sick to go, and it goes to show you how callous a lot of these dudes are, picking on women like that, and how they'll just kind of laugh at the victims that they create. So couple things to talk about today. But before we jump into it, I want to encourage you guys to go to blackteens.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost a stream, run my site, all that stuff. You guys can support, I very much appreciate it and appreciate you guys. You guys can also check out different merch that's available on my site, different t-shirts and mugs and so on. So go ahead and check that out. I also have different books that I have available that you guys can peek at. I have 19 that are published. So I got something like picture books all the way up to like new adult. So I'm glad that I got a little bit more variety. I mean, I had like children's books written for a minute, but as far as it being illustrated, that didn't, well, my sister was working on it for a while, but as far as it getting done or whatever, that's a new thing. I'm trying to, I see my thing is blue. I'm trying to change it to black real quick. Brand color. I don't know why it's blue. There we go. Yeah, it was on black. I don't know why it switched to blue. Go figure. Who knows? But anyway, something funny happened. At least I think it's funny. Um, someone, because we talked yesterday about Turning Point and their whole, beef with Candace, and so some people are like, "Oh, well, that's not fair. Like, why would they just announce it online?" And they're like, because people are like, "That's not how you book guests." And they're like, "You're right. She's not a guest. Like, that's not what this is. Like, we are doing this thing. We said she can come, and she can't come. So that's it." Now, I don't think they owe her much of anything, and I think if she really wanted to go and face these people as she's accusing them of all these things, she would just go. But I think that they would obviously make her look bad. There are people are like, "Well, why does she have to go in person?" She said a lot of things. I think she should say it to their faces, but also they can control the situation if she goes there. And if she doesn't go there, she can't control the situation. So that's why she would prefer to do it virtually. There are things that could go wrong. When Billy Carson was debating Wes Huff, they had, I mean, he destroyed Billy Carson for sure, but they still had all kinds of connection issues that were a hinder. And Wes wanted to get there, but he just couldn't get there at the time, and that's why they just did it live stream. But he wanted to do it in person. He wanted to be there in person. If you're not familiar with that whole saga, which Billy Carson actually reminds me a lot of Candace Owens, but so anyway, I've seen some people jump on to. There's plenty of people on the right who listen to Candace and still defend her and stuff. But there are some people who I've noticed who really don't like Trump and really don't like Republicans, who defend her a lot. And so, one gentleman like stood up for Candace and it was like, I would bet anything in my bank account that this poster didn't say anything, about Candace when she was talking about black people. And so I commented under his thing. I was like, how much money you got in your bank account? Now I haven't seen him respond yet. Um, I hope he doesn't bother deleting his comment because I already screenshot it. And my response to that is I knew that I had done a live after she had said I don't care about George Floyd. I knew I had done that. And I had said I'm glad that I have this information, but I also just don't um think that this was an appropriate way to deal with this, like, essentially. So I went to go look for it, but if you're on Facebook, you know that they got rid of everyone's lives. So if you do a live on Facebook, it only lasts like 30 days and then they delete it. So if you didn't save your lives, which I didn't think to, I guess my personal ones, I didn't think to do that. And any black tea ones, they're filmed in other places too. So I didn't save those either. Our church streams, we like downloaded those, but the video was gone. I'm like, oh dang it. So I decided to do a search anyway. And lo and behold, I did find a post that I wrote after Ahmaud Aubrey, something she must have said about that situation. I don't even recall, but I wrote a post about it and how she goes about saying the things that she says. And I also brought up George Floyd. And I'm like, and I said, you can bring up like different statistics about black on black crime and all this other stuff, but those statistics are still people. And George Floyd wasn't, you can say he's not a good guy, but his family still lost someone. So I was like, yes, I said something about this. I have the evidence. Because that's a gripe with a lot of people on the left, like, oh, y'all let her talk about black people all kinds of different ways, but y'all didn't say nothing. Now it depends what she said, because she said something that was like ultimately true, then I guess it's true. You can have an issue with how she said different things in her tone. I guess people will call that tone policing. And I've voiced concerns, but some things she's been wrong about. So anyway, I do have a history of calling balls and strikes. With people I agree and disagree with. Like someone who's like on my page and they just keep writing things but not debating anything. Like she's posted on like 3 posts I think about abortion. And I did a post about how comparing it to slavery, like I may not like slavery, but I'll defend your right to protect it. My property, my choice. And then, oh, I may not like abortion, but I'll defend your right to have one. My body, my choice. And then I said, like, slaves and the preborn were always persons. And then the person's like, oh, this is so stupid. And she's claimed those comparisons were stupid before, doesn't give any kind of counter argument, just announces that they're stupid. And then she goes on to say, well, Donald Trump would have owned slaves, and then accuses him of being a child rapist and other sorts of things. And I'm like, Donald Trump is one of the few presidents who actually had like no slavery in his ancestry. At least I guess America, at least when it came to the American slave trade or whatever. And Donald Trump was told that, and he was actually very proud of that fact. And I said, and attacking him doesn't attack my argument. Like, he had nothing to do with it. We weren't talking about him. I criticize his abortion stuff all the time, especially like 2024. It was nonstop. Like, if you follow my page. So I'm like, that attacking him doesn't attack the argument. I will criticize him on this issue. And I ultimately told her, I said, like, I understand that you had an abortion, and deep down inside, you actually regret it, and you know that it was a bad thing, and this is the way that you cope. You know? But if you're gonna like loom around this page, I don't understand why you don't try to present some kind of argument, because you just don't look good. Like, if I were you, just saying the things are stupid and not having an argument, I said, makes you look stupid. So it just couldn't be me. I don't understand. Like, sometimes I'm scrolling on TikTok and there's something and I'm like, I'm not going to comment, because I don't want all these notifications from this thing. And it might be something like, yeah, I disagree with, and I could leave my 2 cents in there, but I don't want to argue all that time in somebody else's comments. Like, I guess I prefer to control my space. And if I have an argument about something, I'll make it. And then by all means, you can comment in my stuff. It just helps with my algorithm, helps with my engagement. Frankly, monetized. So it helps me one way or another. So if you're going to be a hater, I guess I'm going to make something off of it while I argue the things that I'm passionate about. But I just wouldn't be lurking on other people's page to just argue. Like, I used to do that a bit, but I realize that some people you argue with are just straight up crazy. And some people aren't even going to read all that you write. And so, people sometimes would tag me like, hey, can you argue on this page? And sometimes I would do it, but I'm like, go fight your own battles, bro. Like, I'd rather not. So I don't understand the lurkers. Now, there are people who oppose my opinions, but they, I think they're wrong, but they bring, an argument with them. They'll debate, they'll bring up some statistics and so on, and we'll go back and forth. I can respect that respectful disagreement, but people who just like throw their hands up and they stomp their feet like some kind of angry toddler, that I do not understand. Anyway, let's hop to it. I want to talk about this report from and then I'm going to play this segment because to me it's funny. From CNN and Jake Tapper. I'm not going to play the little clip. I'm going to play the as it unfolded.
Announced that they had arrested a suspect accused of planting pipe bombs near the Republican and Democratic National Committee headquarters the night before the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. Brian Collier, a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious...
A 30-year-old white man. 30 is not young. To me, it seems a little young. Like, I know that's not, I'm in my 30s, I suppose, but my youngest sister is 30. So to me, it's just kind of wild thinking about someone, again, not a spring chicken, definitely an adult, definitely knew better. But I'm like, that's my baby sister's age. I'm throwing your whole life away. I can't believe this man did it and got away with it for so long. Think about how they were hunting down people who just entered the Capitol and walked around. Not everybody like broke windows and beat people with flagpoles and all kinds of crazy stuff. Some people went in there and they walked around, and I'm not saying they ought to, but there were so many people there. Some people they let in. Some people, of course, were forced themselves in. But you could argue they let them in because there were so many people. They didn't want to fight them all off, and it was just kind of safer, I guess, for them to do it and in the inevitable. So, people were like, it was a setup. They let all those people in. I'm not of that camp. To me, if they are in that situation, there's so many people pressing in it. I can get it, but this dude that they had like information about, and because Pam Bondi said they didn't get any kind of new information about this pipe bomber. They just looked at the old information the FBI already had and did some good old fashioned police work and were able to be like, hey, this is the guy. And there was a report that the Blaze put out maybe about a month ago accusing someone else of being the pipe bomber. That was not true. I hope they accused the wrong person. They could be in danger of being sued from that individual. There was some not conclusive, I guess, type of things from the investigation. So I didn't bring it up because I didn't think that was probably accurate. And there are other people that I trusted. They're like, this seems like really not all there to make such a jump on here. So Blaze did, retract it. But we knew, I think last week or the week before, that the FBI like debunked that. So I guess they had another sort of suspect in mind. But anyway, let's keep watching the CNN segment.
Just destruction by means of explosion. CNN observed local and federal law enforcement outside his home in Woodbridge, Virginia this morning. Attorney General Pam Bondi gave very few details about the suspect this morning, but said this cold case has been solved.
Today's arrest happened because the Trump administration has made this case a priority. Let me be clear. There was no new tip. There was no new witness, just good, diligent police work and prosecutorial work.
Now, for years, investigators have reviewed tens of thousands of video files and tips and cell phone data, and of course, that grainy surveillance video of someone disguised placing those pipe bombs, which the FBI has said were viable. That next morning on January 6, 2021, then Vice President-elect Kamala Harris came within 20 feet of the bomb at the DNC. Its discovery diverted police away from the violence that was unfolding at the Capitol at the time. CNN's Brian Todd is outside the suspect's house in Woodbridge, Virginia. And Brian, officials today were rather short on details. They wouldn't really discuss the charges or the evidence or motives. What do we know about the suspect?
Well, Jake, we do have some new information tonight from neighbors in this area of Woodbridge, Virginia, about their previous interactions with the suspect, identified as Brian Cole. He lived just behind me down in this cul-de-sac here where police have kind of cordoned off the neighborhood. We've got new information from neighbors about their interactions with him, but also one dramatic account from one neighbor who witnessed the convergence of law enforcement on his house firsthand this morning from fairly close. The neighbor did not want to give his name, but has a pretty compelling account of it. Take a listen.
A bunch of soldier-looking guys, maybe SWAT team, people in camouflage with automatic rifles aimed at the house. And on the loudspeaker, they said, "This is the FBI. We have a federal search warrant. Please, everyone in such and such address, come out of the house with your hands up." I saw what I believe was a woman come out of the house, but they didn't seem to take her into custody. And then a little while later, another, I think, woman came out of the house, but they didn't seem to take her into custody either. And then after that, they prepared to go into the house, and they all had their rifles at the ready, and they moved into the house.
And that neighbor just said he did not actually witness the suspect being brought out of the house, but he gave that account pretty dramatic there of when they converged on the house at about 8:30 this morning Eastern time. Also talking to neighbors about their previous interactions with the suspect identified as Brian Cole Jr. They said they often saw him out in the neighborhood walking his Chihuahua, but he was a very reclusive figure, never really interacted with people, almost was antisocial in the words of one neighbor. They described him walking his Chihuahua for long walks frequently, several times a day, sometimes even at maybe 2 in the morning. One neighbor said he would never make eye contact with you. He would always wear headphones, never speak to you except to say hello. One neighbor had kind of a quirky account of him saying that what stood out to him about the suspect was that even in the deadest of winter, in the coldest days, he'd be out in his shorts with red Crocs walking his dog. But a very reclusive figure is the picture we're getting of the suspect, even though he came from a family that the neighbor said was fairly friendly. Jake?
All right, Brian Todd in Woodbridge, Virginia. Thanks. And we do have new photographs, as you saw during that presentation from Brian, new photographs of the suspect. And we're showing those to you right now. Let's discuss with former CIA and FBI counterterrorism official.
Now, I imagine that's all that Mediaite has of that segment. I would have immediately been like, we have new photographs, new information. So apparently this is not a white male. I just would have got that out of the way right there. Oh, Jake. Hilarious though. Now I saw that like late last night, and I meant to make a video about it, but I just got caught up doing other things. And I told my sister about it, and about Jake Tapper calling him a white guy, and I said, well, I wonder what made him think that. And I'm just kind of joking around, don't be too offended with the racial stereotypes here, and I'm like, well, they did say he in the dead of winter he would have shorts on and red Crocs and be outside walking his Chihuahua. And she's like, and he's black? And I said, yes. I'm like, I would have been confused too. And then she was like, is he gay? And he might be from, there's some different reports about his online activity. I haven't verified them all. I'm not sure about that one, but that's weird. It is weird. Like shorts in the dead of winter with the red Crocs walking your Chihuahua. It's just, to me that doesn't scream that's a black guy, but I wonder, someone must have told Jake that he was a white guy. So how do these mistakes happen? Who knows? I would assume it's a mistake though, and not them trying to plant it in people's heads that it's a white person or whatever, like falsifying information, because obviously they were going to end up showing the picture. But man, what a funny blunder there, Jake. But lots of to their credit, not to their credit, but to give them some grace. People get things wrong all the time when there's kind of new stories popping up. So what do you guys think about the fact that they didn't get a new tip? There wasn't new information. They just looked at things that the FBI had already gathered, phone data that they claimed, oh, that was corrupt, but I guess the carrier said that wasn't the case. And they came to this conclusion that, hey, this was the pipe bomber, and he lived very close to where all that happened. It seems strange to me that they were so hard on pursuing other people. I know people who went there on January 6th, and I didn't go. I know people who went nowhere near the Capitol and had a lovely time. And I know people who went to the Capitol and they got arrested and were in jail for a little while. And when the authorities showed up, they made a scene in front of their kids and all kinds of different stuff. Ryan Kelly, for one, he was running for governor in the last midterm in Michigan, and they came for him like right as he was kind of surging. So I'm like, y'all picked quite a time to go after this man. It's kind of interesting. But they went after all kinds of people, but they couldn't get this pipe bomber. It's just odd to me. I'm not alleging there's some kind of I know some people are like, is this the real guy? Is this a patsy? I'm not alleging any of that stuff. I just I wonder why they weren't aggressive with this in the way that they were so aggressive with other people. So anyway, I'm going to read this article from Daily Wire that talks about how the alleged pipe bomber's family sued Trump DHS over illegal immigration, asked Biden DOJ to address racism. So there's people already saying this man is a Trump supporter and he believed that the election was stolen. Again, you don't have to be a Trump supporter to believe that there was something fishy with the 2020 election, because I certainly am aware of Democrats who did not believe that Joe Biden got more votes than Obama. Now, was Joe Biden more popular than Obama? No, but mail-in ballots do radically change things, and they pressured people to vote and made the threshold so easy to do. So I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that Biden is great or whatever, but there's like a reasonable explanation. But it's funny, and I just want to point out that there are Democrats who were like, if you press them, they're like, yeah, oh, I believe it was stolen. Yeah, but they didn't care because they didn't like Trump. But I'm just letting you know, it's anecdotal, but I'm letting you know. I've had those conversations with people. So it doesn't mean that he's a Trump supporter. Now, if he says he's a Trump supporter, I will question that too. People can lie. People lie for all kinds of reasons. There was that story about, do you guys remember that woman who fed her husband it was cleaner for I think a fish tank or something, fish tank cleaner, because it was like not hydroxychloroquine, but some kind of other drug that was close or whatever. And she was like, oh, well, Trump is saying take it or whatever. And so he took some, or she gave him some, and he died. And these were like, I don't know, educated people who were like liberals from different information that I saw. And to me, it just didn't track that if Trump was on TV saying, hey, take this stuff, that these were the kind of people who'd be like, yeah, let's get this fish tank cleaner stuff and not the real drug to help us from COVID. So but when you say, well, I was, listening to Trump, maybe that's a good way to get away with some nefarious things. It was just a strange story, if you guys recall that from the pandemic. It was an odd story. Okay, anyway, Brian Cole Jr. worked for a bail bonds company run by his father that worked to free illegal immigrants from ICE facilities and sued the Trump administration's Department of Homeland Security. Does that sound like a Trump supporter? Like he's from that background? Weeks before, 30-year-old Cole Jr. allegedly planted a pipe bomb at the headquarters of the Democrat and Republican parties on January 5th, 2021. And why would he bomb both? Is a good question. If he was just a, I don't know, Republican Trump supporter, why not just leave them at the DNC? He could just be like a anarchist, burn everything down kind of guy. Headquarters of the Democrat and Republican parties on January 5th, 2021, a court ruled against the company in its lawsuit attacking the Trump administration on immigration issues. The Daily Wire has learned an FBI affidavit in the case notes that the suspect works for a bail bond company and lives with his mother. Later in 2021, the company held a press conference bemoaning anti-Black racism with a left-wing attorney Cole Sr., and Benjamin Crump. Benjamin Crump is all over the place with anti-discrimination or discrimination cases or whatever for Black people. There's a shooting or something. Do you think the police did something? Oh, here's Ben Crump. So that name ought to be familiar to some people. So he's partnering up with a left-wing attorney over some racism stuff. Do you guys think he's a Trump supporter, or at least that he's on the right? To me, that math ain't mathin', but okay. And the article notes that he represented the family of Trayvon Martin, attempted to sic the Biden Department of Justice on local Tennessee prosecutor who had raised questions about the bail bond company. A high-profile civilian rights attorney is calling for a federal investigation into a Rutherford County prosecutor accused of discrimination. Nashville news outlet WPLN reported on November 16th, 2021. Cole Sr., who is Black, Jake Dapper, he's Black, claimed racial persecution by Rutherford County Assistant District Attorney John Zimmerman. Video shows Zimmerman has raised concerns about the bail bonds company's ethics, knowing that it has been suspended from operating in a nearby district. Standing alongside Crump, he said to the media, "He's defamed me. He's called my insurance company. We hope the Department of Justice can come in and do a brief investigation because we've seen a lot of questionable acts that Mr. Zimmerman has demonstrated towards minority-owned companies." Crump said, "It's appalling, and we want these allegations to be investigated to the highest level of government. They call him a punk and a thug, and why? What is it about him? A lot of people believe they know the answer." In April 2025, a Tennessee appeals court found that sanctions against the company were called for due to repeated misconduct. The elder Cole lied about having never filed for bankruptcy or having other financial problems when he in fact filed for bankruptcy twice and had tax liens against him, a Tennessee Court of Appeals affirmed. Cole Jr. and his father worked as a bail bondsman under various company names, including Free You Bonds, initially in Fairfax County, Virginia. Public records suggest that the father moved to Knoxville, Tennessee around 2017. One of those corporate names was Statewide Bonding Incorporated, an immigration bond company that helps illegal immigrants avoid jail. An immigration bond will secure the release of undocumented aliens from immigration facility with a guarantee that conditions of immigration bond requirements are met. The webpage says Brian Cole is listed as Statewide Bonding's owner in a dispute over bonds for illegal immigrants in the state of Colorado. Statewide sued the Trump administration's Department of Homeland Security over its policies relating to illegal immigrants. Weeks before Cole allegedly planted the pipe bombs on November 10th, 2020, the U.S. Supreme Court of Appeals in D.C. sided with the administration on the case, ruling that the lower court had properly thrown out all of Statewide's claims. One of the several lawsuits. So could it be here that this actually had nothing to do with the election? And nothing to do really with Trump. I mean, something to do with them, but they're mad. He's mad about the outcome there, and maybe he's just railing against the system. And it's not about, oh, I'm mad that they stole this election from Donald Trump, because he was, I mean, he was it seemed like he was planning stuff before that, though, as far as him buying the materials. One of the several lawsuits complained that Statewide was being harmed unfairly when its illegal immigrant clients failed to appear at court dates. Statewide have secured the bond for thousands of immigrants. If an immigrant does not appear, that failure to appear is considered a breach of bond. When a bond is breached, at that point, all plaintiffs are subjected to a steep financial penalty, it said. Hundreds of plaintiffs' clients failed to appear before because defendants fail to, one, provide said person with a specified date, time, location, and appear in court, it's continued. Then only after the subject immigrant fails to appear, these defendants expect plaintiffs to find the person in less than 10 days, many times less than 48 hours, or suffer the penalty of paying the sum total of millions of dollars. The January 6 pipe bombs were used by Democrats and the media to portray Trump supporters as violent, though during the Biden administration, the FBI claimed it was unable to locate a suspect, and Kamala Harris, who was 20 feet from the bomb at the DNC, never mentioned it. Charging papers say Cole Jr. began purchasing bomb-making parts by May of 2019, during the Trump administration and long before any dispute about election results. They say his cell phone signal showed that he was in the vicinity of the DNC and RNC when the bombs were placed. The Biden administration quickly used similar cell phone data to apprehend hundreds of Trump supporters for minor crimes. And that's the end of that article. So I don't buy that he did it because the election was stolen. We'll have to wait and kind of see when more information comes out about this as it's coming out. It's all kind of like fresh and new. The rest, those are stories that were happening yesterday. And I saw the Jake Tapper thing late last night and had a good laugh. It was also like unusual, like when I was talking to my sister about it and she was confused about him being black. It is weird. Like just the idea of, I guess, a black person planning a bomb like that in the US, like that's just something you don't hear about. So it's not, I guess, typical. So it's very strange, including the shorts and the flip-flops in the wintertime. My sister said 30 isn't a spring chicken, maybe a summer chicken. Now y'all ain't chickens no more. Well, not a spring chicken. Maybe a summer chicken. Maybe we could say a summer chicken. Maybe. It's definitely not a spring chicken. Definitely not a spring chicken. So I guess spring would be fair. There's still plenty of life to live after 30. Oh, sorry. I got all camera got blurry all of a sudden. Not sure why. That swig of water must have offered lots of confusion. Let me move on and play this video of this transgender comedian while I try to fix my camera situation. But I saw this today. And I find it really, really disturbing.
Another girl they're trying to make the face of the anti-trans movement. Her name is Peyton, and she's the girl who got hit in the head with a volleyball by a trans woman while she was playing volleyball, right? Crazy. They bring her to hearings. The whole argument is she suffered catastrophic brain damage, right? That she'll never recover from. She'll never be able to have a normal life. And this is with her in the room. They're like, look how slow she is. She'll never be able to drive. And they don't ever want to show the clip of what happened because it's pretty funny, actually. It's a 7-second clip. And it's a girl, it's a trans girl, presumably, I'm told, goes up to do a spike. And I can't tell she's trans. Her form is perfect. She looks good at sports, right? And then there's Peyton sitting back like, I don't know, 6 feet from the net, flat-footed with her hands down like this. And then she just gets hit right in the head and falls over like a toddler. And I'm like, oh, she was really like this before. I don't know if there's a nice way to say this, but she should have been wearing a helmet. She should have been out there with the normal people.
So, really gross. Really gross. Riley Gaines had retweeted, said, mind you, he's talking about a high school girl who was partially paralyzed after in a volleyball game after getting a volley to the face by a boy. And they insist they're the kind ones. And I know Peyton also had retweeted this. I'm not sure if I can, let me see. She's in the tweets. Maybe not in Miley's. Man, some people saying some sick things to Riley. I know I saw Peyton, and Peyton's comment was something like, "I was 17 years old," and I've seen the clip, and it's certainly not funny, especially when you know the results. But Riley, she came to Michigan to talk, and she mentioned Peyton's story when it was kind of new, and she talked about the damage that she suffered, but she also talked about how the guy who hurt her was also like saying stuff like reaching out to her like, "Oh, you can't get me out of your mind," and there were some real things that were like really predatorial. So I don't have trust for mentally unstable men, mentally unwell men who don't understand that no means no, that still want access to women's locker rooms and their sports areas and their bathrooms. It's really odd to me, but they'll be so aggressive about that and then mock women. Like, does it bother people how many people mock Riley Gaines? They're like, "Oh, well, she'll never have an Olympic dream. She's just a loser who got like 4th place or 5th place or whatever." I'm like, it's so much bigger about her place, which she's still a skilled athlete. I could, I don't want to say I can never swim like that. You'd have to like put in the work, and obviously I didn't put in that work to swim like that, but I do love to swim. And I feel like even at one point I was going to Lifetime Fitness, and I swam a lot, and I could swim like a mile. It would take a minute, and I didn't swim. I felt like I didn't swim well. I swam a lot. I don't feel like I swam well. I didn't have great technique, I guess. But I love to swim. I love to swim. But she's an impressive athlete, and even when I talked to her, and I did an interview with Riley maybe about 2 years ago, and she was still like contemplating what she was going to do because she planned to be a dentist. That was like her goal, like her career, what she was setting up in life. And God had different plans for her. It was an open window search situation or open door situation where she felt compelled to walk through. And if she hadn't, who would have? Think about how much it feels different, right? We could feel the earth move basically on this issue, especially when Trump won. But it wasn't like that before. When Riley was speaking out, she got so much hate, so much aggression. She went to a high school. I think maybe it was a high school, and it was a school. I don't know if it was a high school or a college, but she had to be locked in the bathroom because of the students were so angry and aggressive, and she had to stay in there for a while until they could escort her out safely. It shouldn't be like that, but she was taking the slings and the arrows, and people still mock her. Piers Morgan was on Jubilee, and I didn't really want to watch it because I'm like, I don't feel like Piers is that great of a debater. Like, but same with like Patrick Bet-David, though. He was on Jubilee, and I don't feel like he's a great debater, but he like cooked so many kids, so many of them. I mean, when you have dumb ideas, I guess people can make compelling arguments on bad ideas, I guess, but a lot of times it's just hard to do that if your ideas are bad and someone knows how to just poke holes in them a little bit. And he was talking to somebody who basically was like, "Well, Riley, she'll never be an Olympian." There goes those like mocking mocking that. What she did was courageous. What she did was brave, especially in a time when so many people are coming against them. Like, I read Abigail Schreier's book, Irreversible Damage, and there was a great speech that she gave that I read the whole thing one live. It was a long speech, but it was worth reading through because I was so inspired by it. But it was she's like proud of the fact that I guess so many people ask her repeatedly, like, so the number one question is, how does it feel to be so hated? And she was just standing up for parents who reached out to her, who needed the story to be told about how their kids were being put under this transgender spell. And she told their stories. She did the investigation. And people hated her. People tried to ban her book. People talk about ban books. Oh my gosh, they want to ban this book with this child having an orgasm. Crazy stuff that they have. They want to ban these gay books. What about them trying to ban her stuff? Censor her stuff? Or the book When Harry Became Sally. Them trying to ban that stuff. How many times do you see Irreversible Damage on these cute little banned book sections? At Barnes and Nobles, like, here's our banned books. How many times have you seen When Harry Became Sally on those lists? How many times? Probably never. This is Peyton McNabb. What? Oh, I've seen before, but man. Oh gosh. It looks like she tried to be ready for it. And she went down. Wow. 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 The strength of men is far different than the strength of women. There are some weak men and some very strong women. But that is a practically grown man playing against a 17-year-old female. And it hit her face. And it did remarkable damage. It came in hard. It came in fast. And man, I know that hurt. Oh my gosh, I know that hurt. One time I was playing soccer in high school and the ball came and hit my face. It hit my face so hard. And I was trying so hard not to cry. And it was, all girls just playing and stuff. And they're like, it's okay, you can cry it out. You can cry it out. And I'm like, I don't want to cry it out. But it hurts so bad that I'm like crying. I'm like trying so hard not to. But it's like when you get hit that hard, sometimes it just knocks the tears right from your sockets. Man, I know that hurt. Gosh, I know that hurt. And then to mock that, it's just sick. While you're a freak in a dress. Gosh. There's a reason why we separate boys and girls. I found her tweet. Imagine being I don't need Grok to explain this, but thank you, Grok, for asking. Imagine being so desperate for laughs that you mock a high school girl's brain injury. I was 17. If this is your best work, it not only shows how unfunny you are, but also how little you value women and girls. Shocker, since it's coming from a dude in a dress. So there's a lot of aggression and I would say hate of women. And like I know they're trying to be in the women's form and stuff, which is probably just autogynephilia or whatever, and some kind of perversion, But they'll be so aggressive against women who don't agree with them and will go along with the delusion. Um I don't know any updates on her. Hopefully her condition improved and stuff, but man, that I'm sure was crazy hurt. I don't know how much she processed that when that like hit her, but I know. Ugh. Um, Poor girl. And these sick men. Anyway, the story about the fraud case is heating up. And I wonder how big it's gonna go in Minnesota. It's apparently touching hold of Ilhan Omar as well. There's a report that it could possibly be up to like $8 billion that was affected in all of the fraud in Minnesota. And people did all kinds of things, lying to set up schemes to take advantage of like COVID money and like Medicare stuff. And there was one group that was lying about people being autistic so they could get funds. All kinds of lies going in where this community scammed the country, the state, and the country, because there are federal funds involved, I believe. So, and we should be upset about it, and that so much of it happened under Tim Walz's watch, who's running for re-election. There was this video that I saved a couple days ago, but I didn't play, of Jacob Fry, who was the Minneapolis mayor, because Trump said he was sending agents, and then they're all offended and stuff because Trump was going to bring agents and stuff. And I'm like, you have all this crime that's happened. Don't you want it to be solved? Don't you want it to be fixed? Aren't you accountable to other citizens other than the Somali ones?
Good afternoon. My name is Jacob Fry. I'm the mayor of Minneapolis, and we are here to respond to a number of credible reports from several media outlets relaying that there are as many as 100 federal agents that will be deployed to the Twin Cities with a specific focus on targeting our Somali community.
But why is that? Why do you think that is?
To our Somali community, we love you and we stand with you. That commitment is rock solid. Minneapolis is proud to be home to the largest Somali community in the entire country. They've been here for decades in many instances. They're entrepreneurs and fathers. They benefit both the culture and the economic resilience of our city.
That's like not true, by the way. Like they're a major drain on the system.
Targeting Somali people means that
I'm not saying there's not entrepreneurs or people who are good fathers and mothers or whatever that are contributing, but I'm like, overall as a whole, like there is a drain here, especially with this huge scandal going on.
That due process will be violated. Mistakes will be made. And let's be clear, it means that American citizens will be detained for no other reason than the fact that they look like they are Somali.
Now, so then there's all this fear mongering, like, oh, these mistakes are going to be made, and oh my gosh, there's going to be people who are detained. Yet sometimes people get detained, who are just kind of there and caught up, and then they're let go. Something that bothers me about how people treat this illegal immigrant situation is that they exaggerate about every little thing that happens. I've seen sometimes. If you go down the TikTok rabbit hole of different Black people, born in the country, ancestors been in the country for a while, and they're just like, sometimes times you get detained when there's crime and stuff. They pull people together. They don't know who is all involved. They ask questions and then they let you go. But when something happens to an illegal alien, they're like, oh my gosh, they tied them up. Like there was a case earlier today that I saw with CBS pushing that, like, oh my gosh, they handcuffed someone who was an American citizen. Well, yeah, she was in the car with an illegal alien boyfriend and was trying to protect him and wouldn't identify herself. So yeah, they did detain her, but once they found out that she was a US citizen, they let her go. So you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. But another thing, like oh, they're separating the families. I sometimes on TikTok I'll come across different body cam videos of police officers dealing with different arrests, and man, people mock those folks who get arrested and the different stuff that they say. But there was one woman who was shoplifting and she had her child with her, and so they ended up arresting her, and the female police officer was so good with her child, and they're like, okay, we got to get someone here who could take him because we don't want to have to like have foster care or something take him or whatever, but they're trying to resist the police or not give information and plead with them, like, no. I think eventually she called her mom or his dad or something like that, and I don't know, but I just think it's kind of interesting, and I think I'll have to go back and find this particular video that I'm talking about and just say, hey, watch this for a little while, watch it unfold and watch them separate her from her child, and say, did you notice these comments? No one is complaining about the police separating this criminal from her child after she committed a crime. People go through that all the time in the United States of America, where if they do some kind of crime, they're separated from their kids, and you don't see Democrats screaming about it on TV all the time and risking themselves going to jail to obstruct justice from happening. Why is it that there's only this reaction and this freak out when it comes to illegal immigration? That's a really good question. I think it's so freaking weird. I think it's so weird. That's the world that we're living in. So the Somalian fraud thing anyway. We'll have to continue seeing where it goes. Don't you the guys think it's so fascinating that Tim Walz was almost, well, he could have been. It wasn't close. I mean, because they did lose every single swing state. But they picked him. They picked him for vice president. And there was all of this stuff. Imagine if well, do you guys think, how much of a story would this be if Kamala was president, he was vice president right now? How much of I mean, some of it would have to come out. I don't imagine they'd suppress this forever, but it would just be a major scandal. On top of other major scandals that involve Tim Walz. So it's amazing. I'm so glad that she lost for multiple reasons. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. Please go to blacktunies.com, check out different content on the website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost to stream and run my site. So if you guys get supportive, I much appreciate you guys. You guys can also check out my children's book, Bigger. It's about a baby dinosaur who dreams of being bigger. So there's baby. He's so cute. So cute. So you guys can pick that up in hardcover. You guys can get it in paperback. I do love my book, Bigger. I'm sure kids will love it too, but there's other, books that I have that you guys can pick up and enjoy if you're an older reader. And I'm so excited. Just been writing. And I'll look forward to like next year popping out some new stuff and having some new releases on different things. And I'm really excited. So anyway, thank you guys. And I will see you